everybody. Welcome to today's episode of Before the Hammer Strikes. I'm Bjorn Johnson, General Manager at TraVek. Today we've got an awesome guest, Gordy from Elm Law Firm. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. Thanks for having me. I'm so happy to be here.
Hey, you bet.
I am the owner and the founder of Elm Law Group, which is a personal injury firm in Phoenix, Arizona, and it is one of the few female-owned personal injury firms. So.
Okay, cool. Yeah. And this is not your first rodeo. You have a podcast of your own.
I do. I just issued my first episode. I've been shooting for several months, and it's called Talk Legal to Me with Lawyer Gordy. And we're on Apple, we're on Spotify, YouTube, and we've got a lot of exciting guests coming up.
Awesome. So talk legal to me.
Yeah, talk legal to me.
We're going to talk a little legal today.
Okay.
Hopefully you've got some insight for our audience, and I'm excited to have you here just because of your background and your history. And so we've got business owners that listen, we've got homeowners that listen,
Sure.
We've got partners in the community, and so I think this should be a really fun topic to talk about. Before we started, I was butchering the name of your law firm, and it's Elm with two M's,
right.
But there's a little bit of an acronym behind that, and share with us, what does Elm stand for?
So it stands for my kids' names. My daughter's name is Ava, my son is Luca, and then my nephew, my one and only nephew, is Maxim, so he's included as well. And because all of the domains and everything was taken with just traditional ELM, we added one more M, which is my last name, Mikalacki. So we're Elm Law Group.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah.
Very cool. So tell me about your experience here in Arizona. Are you from Arizona?
I am a native. I'm a unicorn.
Wow, that's pretty rare these days.
Yeah.
I am not a native. I've only been here about a year and a half. So
Where did you come from?
the Pacific Northwest.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah. Big
Okay.
change
Yeah.
from rain to sunshine.
Sure.
So you're a unicorn. You've been here your whole life.
Yep.
What's that been like? What area did you grow up in? Where are you at now?
I grew up and stayed in the East Valley. So Mesa is where I was born and raised. My family is a family of entrepreneurs. They have all their businesses in Mesa. And it's just really interesting to see how much the valley has grown and how many people are coming, and just seeing it over the years change in the decades. It's pretty incredible.
Yeah, I can imagine. I had a small stint in Arizona about 18 years ago where I was in Chandler for about 6 months.
Okay.
And during that time, I was starting up different satellite offices for business, hire, recruit, train, generate revenue, and then move on to the next big city.
Okay.
So Chandler was one of the stops along the way.
Sure.
And I remember then, 18 years ago, Queen Creek was the desert.
Yeah.
Nobody lived in Queen Creek.
Right.
And that whole Gilbert, East Valley area and then south, like, it was unheard of to even go out there. It was just so far.
Yeah.
And now it's like this thriving metropolis extension of Phoenix. So it's crazy how things grow.
It really is. I had a friend that asked me, "You're in Mesa, right? Like, can you go pick something up for me?" And she gave me the address, and I was like, "That's about 30 minutes from my Mesa. It's still in Mesa, but it's about
Right.
30 minutes away." And to myself, I kind of couldn't believe that, you know?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is.
It's crazy. So you specialize, what type of law do you specialize in? You said...
Personal injury.
Okay.
So any dog bites, car accidents, motorcycle accidents, pedestrian, wrongful deaths, any injury that happens to someone from someone else's negligence,
Yeah.
and that's not in the workplace, is the type of law we handle.
Okay, all right. And I want to drill into that just a little because that's valuable for, we've got people, business owners that don't have workplace incidents that happen, but we've got also customers and homeowners and just people in the
Right.
community. So
Absolutely.
one thing that I've found, do you deal in traffic much?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
There is so much traffic in the Phoenix metro area.
Yes.
What do you see, what hits your table when it comes to injury in regards to traffic or just everybody's day-to-day commute?
Well, I will say our busiest season is starting now and goes till about May, June. So when we have all the people trying to come to Arizona for the different events or the weather, it starts getting packed. So we start seeing more and more accidents. A lot of our accidents are multiple car collisions on the freeway. It's like that domino effect. One
Right.
person stops, the other one rear ends, and it just piles up from there. So a lot of people are texting and driving, not paying attention, that sort of thing.
Sure.
Yeah.
So you see that a lot.
We see it a lot.
I never really thought there's a busy time
Yeah.
for lawyers, but I guess in Arizona there's probably a busy time.
Yeah, it is. It's just because we have such an influx of visitors on the roads. You know, school's in now in session. People kind of try to escape the Phoenix weather in the
Yeah.
summertime, so it gets a little bit lighter. But once the weather starts getting nice, school starts, we start seeing an influx of people coming in, and then accidents just happen.
Sure,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
Yeah.
So when those things happen, I guess what would be one piece of advice that you can give everybody listening? Like if you have an accident or something happens, what's the best kind of roadmap for them? Because I think for some
Sure.
people it's new, and whether it's a vehicle accident or any other type of injury, people just don't know what they don't know.
Yeah, it is very scary. I mean, I've even been in an accident and practicing this area of law, you still have that adrenaline, are a little bit confused what's going on. I would definitely say that they need to stop. They need to make sure to exchange information with the other driver. That would be getting a photo of the driver's license of the other driver, their auto insurance card, and I know a lot of times now we don't even have the auto insurance card in the car, it's on our phone. You can like take a photo of that on their phone, have the policy information. Make sure the police come to the scene and do report. I know sometimes it's a little bit difficult to get police on the scene. They're pretty tied up and busy, so it's
Sure.
a bit of a wait. And get photos of the premises, get photos of the car and the damage, and that's really starting the evidence in their case.
Sure.
So very important.
And that's helpful for you if
Yeah.
they've got all that information, if it turns legal, obviously.
Sure.
For you to have all of that documentation.
Yeah, it's really helpful to their case. And a lot of times, you know, maybe the insurance company doesn't have it, or the police officer might have missed something on the report, miswrote something, like a number in the policy number because it's hot, he's outside, the traffic or she's going past them. So any kind of evidence you can get is super helpful.
Sure.
Yeah.
Sure. Oh, that's awesome. That's good advice.
Yeah.
I want to shift gears a little bit and talk
Sure.
about business.
Okay.
You're a business owner.
Yeah.
What motivated you to start your business? Obviously, I think you went to ASU, is that right?
Yes, I did for undergrad and law school.
Okay, so ASU undergrad and law school, stayed here local. Go Sun Devils.
Woohoo! Yeah.
And then you decided to start a practice.
Yep.
Tell me about that journey. What motivated you to start your own practice? Because in law, oftentimes you're going to go work somewhere else. Did you jump right into your own practice, or what did that look like for you?
I didn't. So I was heavily in the public sector for half of my legal career. I was an assistant attorney general, and I prosecuted child and family cases. So
Wow.
it was quite the transition for me to go into personal injury. The reason why I did was because I'm from the Balkan community and I speak the language, and there's a lot of people here that wanted someone that spoke the same language as them when they were needing to hire an attorney.
Sure.
So I did the transition into the private sector, and the reason why I founded my own firm was because I was just really kind of put off by the way personal injury attorneys were advertising themselves.
Sure.
I felt they looked very slimy, very sleazy. They were just about the check.
Yeah.
And for me, the empathy factor was really missing. And I thought at that time I was a new mom, and I thought, well, you know, these people were hurt and they deserve to have someone that cares and wants to make sure that their medical bills are covered and they're compensated fairly.
Yeah.
And so I thought, you know what, I'm going to do something different. I'm going to open my firm, but my approach towards the clients and the customers is going to be more empathetic, more caring,
Sure.
not just about sign here, sign here, sign here. So
Yeah. No, that makes a lot of sense. You think about, accident attorneys, you guys get a bad rap probably sometimes, that you're ambulance chasers
Sure.
or, whatever it may be. And I think it's that slimy feeling that you talked about, the way they represent themselves. And obviously you're polished, you're put together, you've started a business and you've got a business model that makes sense with that empathy portion of it. Like I can feel it just talking to you.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, for sure. Like it makes a difference. So you started your firm,
Right.
and then business is not easy,
No,
right? You may
it's
be
not.
really great at your craft, which is law, but then there's a business aspect to it.
Yeah.
Tell me about any hurdles that you may have had or roadblocks on the business side of things that may have gotten in the way of you being able to practice law the way that you want to or that you love to do.
Well, I think with any business starting out, you could be great at what you do. So I had all the courtroom experience as a former prosecutor. I knew how to do personal injury because I had worked and actually founded a firm prior to going out on my own.
Oh, wow. Okay.
And so I had the knowledge base, but the hardest part is getting the clients through the door,
Yeah.
right? So I just made sure to keep my overhead low, and I did a lot of things myself, and I networked and established trust with the clients that I was able to get and that were willing to come and hire me for their case. And then they started just referring friends, family, or different medical providers would be like, you really should call her. She's really good. She's responsive. We've worked with her in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And so that organic word of mouth was really what started my business.
Okay.
Yeah.
And then you scaled it from there.
Yeah.
Do you have other employees now, or are you still doing everything on your own?
No, we do have other employees. There
Okay.
comes a point where it's like you just can't do it all
Yep.
yourself anymore, especially if you want to grow.
Yeah.
So, once I'd done that, maybe for like a year or so, then it was time to start hiring paralegals, case managers, legal assistants,
Yeah.
office managers, that sort of thing, because you can't grow by just being the one person.
No,
You
you
gotta delegate. So your time is really better spent doing other things than some of these more administrative tasks, which are also important, do take a lot of time, but I hired a great team that I feel like really embodies the values that I have when I started my firm. And I think it's really important, and we all just work as a team and do the best we can for our clients.
That's awesome. I mean, that journey, I think, is a smooth journey for anybody that's starting a business, right?
Sure.
When you start, you kind of have to do everything.
Yeah.
And you have the control, you want it done your way, you know what works.
Yeah.
But then there comes a time where you're stretched so far that you just have to bring somebody else on.
Right.
And there's a rule in business that people talk about and business leaders talk about that's really sound that I think you just emulated. You get to a certain point and then you have to hire people to do the things that either you're not great at or that you hate doing.
Yeah.
People always say your first hire should be somebody that does the things that you're not good at or that you don't like doing, because there's somebody out there that loves doing the things you hate.
Sure.
And they're passionate about the things that you
Yeah,
hate.
they
And
are.
so being able to offload that to the next person that is really strong or really good at the things that maybe you don't love to do, but you're just doing as a business owner.
Yeah.
And then I think a big key takeaway from that is that you don't get in your own way after that. Like when you've handed that off to somebody, now you continue focusing on the things you're great at, but don't start getting in their way.
True. Very, very true.
So that's interesting. So what size are you guys up to now?
We have 10 employees.
Okay.
And so we have several teams with case manager, legal assistant, legal secretary, and a different model that I've adopted that's where I don't want our values to change from where I started the business is we don't overload our teams with cases. So
Yeah.
I know a lot of times people get inundated with like the billboards on the freeway with the different attorneys advertising. It's a very different business model than I've set out to do because I really want that customer service component to never be gone, no matter how much we scale. So the more you load your teams up with tons of cases and it just becomes about quantity, not quality, you start losing that. So we keep our caseload small per team. That way every client feels like they're spoken to, they have a question, it can be answered within the same day. We give them a 2-week follow-up call to see how they're doing, where are they treating. And I feel like it really makes the client feel like they're protected and also protects the case value, because once you start losing pieces of information and grasp on the case, the value starts getting diminished very quickly.
No, and that's important to bring up because I think that's in your field particularly, that's what happens, right? People get overworked and overloaded and they take on as much as they can, and then that connection really goes away. I gave you a quick tour when you came into our space.
It's beautiful.
And you made a comment that took me by surprise a little bit, just because I think it's commonplace for me. But you said, so this is family run and family started. I think you were maybe impressed by the organization we have going on here.
Very impressed.
So we take that same approach, right? No matter how big we scale, no matter how much we grow, we've got a beautiful space, beautiful showroom, but the culture and the values and the things that are really important to us as a family started business, family run business, we really try to make sure that never goes away. For the same reasons, right? The customer at the end of the day wants to feel special, and they want to know they're taken care of, and they want to know that they're not just a number.
Yeah.
And for your case, they're not just another case that you're taking and another paycheck.
Yeah, no, I could definitely say when I walked in, this feels so professional, but yet so cozy.
Oh, that's cool.
So if you were a client or customer coming in, I feel that you guys have the beautiful showroom that shows them the options and they can take a look. And I feel like sometimes when you have too much decision, it's a little bit difficult to narrow it down. And it's like you guys have enough options, but still to let that client not get overloaded with too much to choose from.
Yeah.
So it's like a perfect, medium. I think it's great.
Oh, well, thank you for saying that.
Yeah.
We've tried to do a good job of creating that environment.
It's beautiful.
So yeah, thank you for that. Now you mentioned that you specialize with a particular group of people, or part of the reason why you started your practice was because of the language that you speak.
Sure.
Do you still serve that community predominantly, or what's your reach?
So it probably started as that being my niche, and then as I've grown, obviously I'm accessed to other communities and people are hiring me beyond that community. But we do have a very big Balkan community here in Phoenix.
Yeah.
And they're very loyal, because if you've handled one family member's case, they'll send the rest of their family members to you for all of eternity. Yeah. So, that's kind of where it started, and then it just grows from there. And I love to always find out where a client came, and it's usually like a 6 degrees of separation situation, or in our case, maybe like more 3 or 2. And it's really interesting to see how you've serviced one client and it just grows from there.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That is really awesome. So you started out with that niche, but now obviously that's spread quite a bit. Where do you want to go with your business? Like, you've been in Phoenix Valley area for a long time. You grew up here, you went to school here, your business is here. What's the next step for Gordy? Where do you go from here?
I want to keep scaling and growing. It's probably like everybody that wants to do something business-wise, they maybe have like a little bit of a chip on their shoulder. I feel like my chip on my shoulder, being in a very male-dominated field, has always been like, but I'm just as good as the boys are, So I really see myself scaling my business to the level of a lot of these huge firms in the Phoenix Valley that are very well known. I think that we provide a better experience for the client. And so for me, it's like, I don't think that we cannot compete with them. I think that we're very capable and already are competing, if not exceeding what they're offering the client. So I think that more of the Valley needs to experience our type of customer service when dealing with a personal injury case, and know that we are an option and that we are as competitive with billboard lawyers and all the lawyers you see on the freeways posted up with those $1 million advertising budgets. Doesn't necessarily mean that you're going to get that good experience when you walk out their door.
Yeah, you may not get $1 million service just because you're spending $1 million in marketing, right?
Sure.
And I love that, and I think you're on the right track. Like, I don't think anything should deter you from saying, I can run with the boys. I can do it just as well as they can, if not better.
Thank you.
And just the fact that you have this podcast, Talk Legal to Me, shows that you're an innovator and you're looking at different ways to look at things and to reach people. And this has been enjoyable for me because it's one of those things where you can connect.
Yeah, for sure.
And hopefully our audience is connected as well with you and what you do, because that's important. We give, so we have seminars, community seminars, where we invite people in.
That's great.
And we do it once a month. And it's purely educational to teach them what they need to know before walking into any type of a remodeling journey.
Right.
And one of the things that I tell people in that seminar, and it seems silly, but you should like and trust the person that you're doing business with.
Very true.
And people kind of raise their eyebrow a little bit in the audience, like, well, I get the trust part, but do I really need to like them for them to do a good job? And at the end of the day, you kind of do. Like, there has to be a connection where you feel like, okay, I do enjoy working with this person. They've got my best interest in mind.
Sure.
And I think that's what people get with you as well.
Oh, thank you so much.
Yeah, you bet. The connection is there to where I feel like people feel connected to you. And it seems like that's the business model that you're after.
Yeah, I think it's so important. So I think that consumers now are looking for that connection. It's no longer like hiring the accountant or the lawyer, the doctor, or the remodeling company to just come in and get the job done. you are immersed with these people for a long time. I always say you're married to them for a while. So a personal injury case can take about 6 months to a year to settle on average, sometimes more.
Wow.
And if you don't like the attorney that you're working with, it's going to be a pretty contentious, not fun time.
Yeah.
And I can imagine the same goes for you with home remodels. I mean, that's a long process, and you want to have someone that you feel like you're happy to answer their call.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we'll take over projects of things that were
yeah.
nightmares. I'm assuming you run into that as well. There's probably
True.
cases that get flipped to you
Yeah.
that somebody else maybe started and they didn't
Yeah.
like that attorney or like that organization. Does that happen?
It does happen. The biggest complaint or the most cases that we'll get from other attorneys are people that have left a billboard attorney, and their biggest complaint is, I cannot get them on the phone. So not only can I not get an attorney on the phone, like it would be super rare for them to ever even talk to an attorney through the process.
Right.
I can't even get my case manager or my paralegal on the phone, so I have no idea what to do or what's going on. So
Yeah. And I haven't been through a lot of legal processes,
Good. That's
fortunately.
good. Knock
Knock on wood. But I can imagine that feeling, you just have to feel so alone if you've retained this person
Sure.
to be your advocate, and now all of a sudden,
Yeah.
sometimes your livelihood or your what the future looks like for you is on the line,
Yeah.
and that's just got to be a dark place for people to feel like they can't reach you, they can't communicate with you, they don't get feedback.
Yeah.
So I'm not surprised that that's a motivator for people to come to you.
Yeah, it is very scary. I feel like any legal process is scary, and there are things that clients can do that will ruin their case. And
Yeah.
so if you don't have someone advising you along the way, it's really damaging to the client. It's also damaging to the law firm. 'Cause
Sure.
you're like, why are you working on this case if you're not trying to do your best? Your interests are also invested. So we, definitely take cases like that and try to give them the customer service they were looking for.
Sure,
So,
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, this has been really awesome. Thank you again for
you.
being on our podcast, and
course.
hopefully in the future, I'd love to come be on your
Yes.
Talk Legal to Me podcast. That would be a lot of fun.
Absolutely.
Any parting words that you can give to our audience, or parting advice, whether they're a business owner or a homeowner or just a member of our community?
For business owners, that's probably where I would have more ability to speak. I would just say, if you have a vision, if you're a creator, if you want to do something, you just have to believe in yourself and bet on yourself repeatedly. And I feel like that's how I was able to found my firm and sustain it and grow and scale. And I just bet on myself all the time. So that would be my best advice to them.
Awesome. Well, you guys heard it from Gordy. Bet on yourself. It's not easy. It doesn't come without bumps and bruises, but there are things that if you want them bad enough, you can put things in place to where you can accomplish pretty much anything that you want to. So thank you again for being on the show. Where can people find you if they need an attorney, or if they want to talk business with you or get insight from you? Where's a good place that we can direct them?
Yeah, they definitely can check us out on our social media pages. So at Lawyer Gordy on Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, LinkedIn. Our website is also Elm with 2 M's, lawgroup.com. They can shoot me a DM, and I'm happy to chat with people.
Awesome.
So, yeah.
Great. All right, guys. So you know where to find her. Social media is big. You're going to see this hit social media and launch on our podcast channels. We'll tag her in it to make sure that you can find her if you need to. And then, as always, we just appreciate you joining us and being such a great audience. Looking forward to next week with another guest. If you need to reach out to us, you know where to find us. It's www.travek.com. And hopefully you'll have a great week this week, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Thanks again.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.